So what qualifies as an in-plant success story? It could just be staying open in today's environment. But real successes, like the ones we profile in in-plant graphics, come from facing a challenge and prevailing, or seeing an opportunity and taking it. This might mean watching the impending retirement of the mail services manager and suggesting merging mail into print, as some of you have done, or hearing about customers or services the customers are paying a lot of money on the outside for, and then doing the research and getting some equipment and bringing that service in-house, saving money, looking like a hero, showing your value to the university. There are countless examples of this kind of thing. University of Oklahoma added, and others added garment printing because groups and clubs on campus were paying a lot of money to get shirts printed on the outside, so they brought it in. It's not a huge moneymaker, but it certainly shows their value, and who needs those things are coming to them. Berea College is an example of one who took on architectural design printing with a wide format printer. They got one just for that purpose because there was so much construction going on campus, and that they figured, why not get the business ourselves? So now all the contractors have to come to them. Misericordia University and a couple others took on engraving to produce ADA compliant signage. It was for one project, but they ended up now producing all of the signage for the entire university. I mean, those are just a couple examples that we've covered of in-plant success stories. Other times, success comes from being challenged, sometimes by an outsourcing provider, sometimes by a university administration. And then the in-plant ends up proving its value and staying in place. You may have read the story in a recent issue on Fox Valley Technical College. The school went so far as to evaluate outside outsourcing proposals before they ultimately decided to keep the in-plant. So that was a big success. Even University of Cincinnati right here had a success story when a vendor was called in by other departments to bring in these huge cost savings. Of course, John was able to use his actual data to reveal their ignorance and show how much his shop actually saved. So another big success. But we have with us here today 3 different kinds of success stories. At University of North Carolina's in-plant, there was a deficit and talk of closing the in-plant, but then Gary was brought in and made some changes, and now he's got a strategic plan for growth to tell us about. We also have 2 examples of in-plants utilizing perhaps the largest resource at any college or university, students. At Highline College, students are not only interning in the print shop, they're being introduced to the graphic communications community and satisfying a need for workers. And at Harper College, students are being used to create a pool of student photographers for shooting school events. So we'll hear more about this. So a quick introduction of our 3 speakers. Dave, right here to my left, is a print shop manager at Highline College in Des Moines, Washington, not the other one. You ever been to the other one?
Yes, relatives in Iowa.
So Dave's an experienced instructor, a faculty advisor, and production coordinator in graphic communications. He's been at Highline since 1995. Matt, in the middle, is publishing services supervisor at Harper College in Palatine, Illinois, where he started working in 1999 as a graphic designer. In 2009, he became supervisor at the college's in-plant. And Gary has over 30 years in the printing industry. He was supervisor at Ohio State University Worcester, and he was there before, and then he moved to print and document supervisor at the University of North Carolina at Pembroke last year. So now I'll just turn it over to you guys.
My story is not really a success story, maybe at least not yet. It's more of a survival story. Went through some changes over the years following that. So what I'd like to do first is show you a picture of our campus that was taken sometime between July 5th and July 6th when it actually stopped raining in Seattle. That was one of our better days. And it's also our 55th anniversary. We were the first community college in Washington State, opened in 1961. And by the way, I'm the same age as the college. So when you're looking at me, you're looking at a college with a gray roof and leakage in places. So I ripped off this information from the communications office. It shows that we have 16,917 students. I think that number is really inflated. It's probably closer to 10,000. You can see that we are a larger number of female students than male. And the numbers show that we have an average age of 23. And we have 761 international students, which, by the way, is our biggest account for printing on campus, is the International Student Program. I don't know how many of you have international student programs at your college, and how good of a customer are they? They have money to spend. Here's a little bit about we are the most diverse community college in the state of Washington. You can see our numbers are pretty balanced culturally. I tend to talk a little too slow because I taught a lot of students that were ESL, which is English as a second language. And so I learned to sort of slow down my delivery. And but it's been great. It's so wonderful to work in a diverse campus environment, because it brings a lot of opinions, a lot of cultural backgrounds. We celebrate that at our college. We're funded at $40.2 million. The state supports us about halfway. Okay, so we have a training program called Visual Communication. It's another term for graphic design program. And you probably have a program like this at your campus. The print shop is housed in the same building as the visual communication program, multimedia design, fine art. So I'm kind of right in the center of the art and design faculty and student community. They have a 2-year associate in applied science program. And these associate degree programs prepare students for job entry. And they also have a transfer program so they can transfer to a 4-year school. We do have bachelor degrees at our college, but none in art and design. An AAS degree is 96 credit hours of instruction. That includes design classes, art, and 15 credits of academics like math, speech, writing. There is an internship requirement in this program. And so students are required to do between 90 and 150 clock hours of a workplace setting where they use the skills they've been learning in their program and apply them to real work. And I usually take 2 to 3 of them per quarter. So it's an opportunity for them to learn about production. A lot of graphic design students are sort of steered towards web design. They know absolutely nothing about print before they get to me. So what I've done is I've sort of used my teaching skills I've used over the years, and I've just switched it over to on-the-job training. So I have all the joys of teaching with none of the responsibility. I don't have to grade them, I don't have to test them. I do give them advice. I do connect them with the printing industry community in Seattle. And so it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like teaching a new class every quarter, but just the fun parts. Okay, so the college has a student employment office called Career and Student Employment. These are campus jobs. You may have heard the term work study. Anybody familiar with work study? Okay. So they use an online job posting system called Interface. So this is for campus employers and off-campus employers to post job openings within their company or their department. So I have a couple of job descriptions I use. One is lab worker, which is sort of the bindery side of the operation. I have an office worker. I've got a student right now that's an accounting major, so I'm having her intern in my front office to help me track expenses, do some basic record keeping. The College Financial Services Office takes care of all our budget transfers. We just sort of want to keep track of our expenditures and income internally so it matches up with the college's budget. FWS is Federal Work Study, which is tied into, let's say a student applies for financial aid and they receive tuition funding through the U.S. Department of Education. Part of their package is the ability to work and earn money working. State Work Study is the same thing, it's just funded by the state of Washington. And General Fund Work Study is a campus can pay a student out of their department account. And because I'm a one-person shop, I generally avoid General Fund Work Study because it's a direct expense to my budget. I've been pretty successful with Federal Work Study. It's worked really well. Okay, a little bit about the relationship between what I do and the printing associations. I'm sure you've heard of PIA, Printing Industries of America. So the Northwest chapter is called Pacific Printing Imaging Association, and they're based out of Portland, Oregon. They're coming to me and saying, Dave, the local printing community in Seattle, Portland, and the Northwest, and even Hawaii, is in need of qualified workers. What can you do to help? So I told them about what I do, and they're on board. And so I'm involved in their association activities. I go to high schools, I go to job fairs, and I represent the association. I also try to steer them towards Highline College to get enrolled in the visual communications program. You guys, of course, are my favorite association because you discuss so much about your business on hard copy, and from time to time somebody will ask, do you have a job description for a bindery worker, or do you have, I'm really paying attention to when those questions are asked, and I love reading your results because it sort of gives me ideas about what I should be doing. And then, does anybody remember the Craftsman's Club? Any members? It's the International Association of Printing House Craftsmen. Seattle calls their chapter CraftNet, and they have a trust fund of about $30,000 for scholarships to help students study. So I have associations with these, and I sort of use all of them to make what I do work. So this is my little pipeline here. I recruit out of the local high school Vi-Comm programs. They have Vi-Comm at the high school level in our state. Not every school district has it, but ones near the college do. I recruit out of my college's Vi-Comm program. And then I sort of use that partnership with the PPI Ed Trust. That's the funding body of PPIA. They have scholarships. They want to pay students to learn how to do print production so they can eventually hire them out of our institution. Eventually, we want to help them find jobs in graphic design or commercial printing. Make sense? Okay, so how do we benefit? The student workers help us get the jobs out. I don't know if any of you have had the experience of being in a one-person shop. It's really hard to wear all the hats, get things done. So I train them up as fast as I can and get them working. I've simplified our processes in the shop. And so I have a crew of about 6 to 7 people at all times. Their commitment to working for me can be as small as 3 months. I give them an experience. I had one student that worked for me for 2.5 years. And he was ESL. When he came in, he was studying nursing. He earned his RN at Highline. It was probably the only emergency room nurse that's also a printer in the state of Washington. I always tease him about that too. So the payroll costs are not funded by my department. which is really nice. I don't have that expense. Students get about 20 hours a week at $11 an hour. $11 an hour is the minimum wage in the state of Washington. Students don't have to leave to go to work. They're on campus already. It's very convenient for them to just come to the shop and start their shift. They get the hands-on skills training. They learn my equipment. I teach them how to operate. I think it makes them better graphic designers if they have a print education to go with it. Kathy knows that well. Makes them more employable. That's the kind of students that employers want. So here's my staff. That's Julian, Ricky, and Bubbles.
I've had some of those.
And actually, no, that's not my staff. This is my staff. So this is us. I like to get them out of the shop once in a while and let them tour. So we went to a company called Printing Control in Seattle. You may have heard of them. They're an R.R. Donnelly company. And this gentleman at the top, his name is Randy Copeland. He founded Printing Control, and he is mentoring my students. So he's guiding them towards careers. And he was our host on a tour of a company he founded that he's now retired from.
Actually, Harper's kind of cool. I thought it was a great story. It's a small win. And you kind of, in our business, you want to stack your wins. We don't use students at all. So that's one of my goals. That's one of the reasons I came here. There's a lot of people around here I've been picking their brains on how do you do it, how do you manage them, all that stuff. But one of the things we did in the department right next door, our creative services department, is these wonderful students that can take pictures for us. We've got no in-house photography, so to get all these great images and stuff, hiring it out, it was kind of expensive. The logistics of getting them on campus when we needed to produce stuff. So someone by the name of Jessica Mandra from the creative services area, she went out and got a bunch of graphic art students and became our interns. So being that it's new, I think eventually they may have gotten paid, but at first the concept was, you know, take pictures and we'll give you a portfolio piece, you know, something nice you can take with you when you go on. Harper College is a 2-year college, so most of our students are going on somewhere else. Some people go right out in the field. So the students, there's 3 of them, Nick, Emily, and Kevin, took a bunch of pictures. They came to me and they said, you know, they did the artwork. I believe every single one of them is a graphic art student. I know Nick and Kevin were, definitely. But so we did this. They came to me like, we just want like 30, maybe 50 books. You know, give each of them 10 books, and then we'll have a couple. You know, because marketing always wants samples. So we did this. I think we did a great job. You know, it's a nice, clean, artsy book. I report through marketing, so it sits on our conference table. So suddenly, someone from admissions comes by and they see it and they go, wow, that's a really cool looking book. I think I produced this for them about $2, somewhere around that price point. And they're like, that's cheaper than some of the other swag that we're giving out to these students. So they ordered 2,500 to hand out at events. So then, you know, the foundation, very student oriented, found out, wow, look at this book these students created. So they want to have it for all their fundraising events and send it to donors and say, you know, your money coming to the college, this is the kind of stuff our excellent students are doing. So they ordered another 2,500. And then the Center for New Students, they saw it and they ordered a couple thousand. So it's like this little kind of favor that working with the creative services area to help, you know, pay back their students turned into probably a good month of work for us of making these books. I mean, everyone in my shop is is sick of seeing them. But I think it's great, and it's out there. It's a brag, it's a bragging thing. It's like, yeah, we did that. Success, we get hung up a lot in the numbers, and how many impressions or clicks and this, but that perception of, wow, that's a high-end piece. It goes so far to build that confidence. So that's what I did. Well, I did, that's what we did. There's because it's about collaborating with all these other things. And I think the hardest thing for me, and I think I've heard this theme before, but it's sharing your success. It's just hard. You get so wrapped up in meeting a deadline, getting stuff out, making sure it's done correctly. Share those success stories. And this was an easy way to share it because, but anyways, I don't know if you have any questions or comments. That's kind of my.
We'll do some questions after Gary, I think.
Okay.
So, all right, great. Thank you.
I see Pembroke at the end of June last year, and I abruptly found out the first week that we were $286,000 in the hole. Found out that it had been about that way for the last 6 years. This year we're going to be showing a profit for the first time, and worked really hard to do it. My first initiative was to go after what I call the big 3 A's: administration, admissions, and athletics. They have the biggest pockets when it comes to buying print, in my opinion. We went after them. We within the first 2 weeks, we made notepads, personalized notepads, had everybody's name on it from the secretary to the director of the departments. Their titles, phone numbers, variable data, everything. We went and personally handed them out to each and every one to greet them, let them know that we're there for them. That was a big success. We also had admissions. They had 25,000 booklets that they needed to have stuffed, and they had just come in and they were shorthanded. We volunteered, did all 25,000 for them, no charge, just to get our name out there and get a good impression. Another source of income for us, when I first came, they were outsourcing way too many jobs that we could have been doing in-house. So I cut that down, and they were only charging 3% overage for their outsourcing. I upped that to 10%, which gave us more income, plus we're keeping more jobs in-house now. Also, by us doing the outsourcing, we control the vendors that we go to. We know the quality vendors that will produce what the university wants. They're consistent, and also we get the best price because we have 3 or 4 that we go to and we get pricing from them. And also, when the jobs come back, they always come back to our department from the outsourced company. We open them, we review them, we make sure the quality and consistency is still there for our customers. I've seen that I went to our purchasing department and I had a list produced of all the outsourced jobs that people had been getting previously. I found that there were a lot of large format jobs, banners, signage that was going out that we could possibly do if we had the right large format printer. So we went out and got a new printer. That's enabled us to keep a lot of jobs in-house, and production has been great on that. We also went to create a banner. When I was at OSU, I had an account with Create a Banner. They give us wholesale pricing for sale signs, flags, just all their products. So we get the wholesale price, plus they will also furnish you with a website, and you can choose a percentage of the cost if you want to list the price, or you don't have to list any prices at all, just pictures of the products and stuff, and that they can come through you to get those products, which that's cutting out a lot of the foreign print jobs that went to them and everything. And lastly, we decided that our customer sales room needed a little updating. On the left there is what our entry door looked like before I came. No sign, nothing. Didn't know we were there. We went to our surplus area, found somebody had discarded the door with the windows and everything around it. We had that put in, so there was no cost, just the installation cost. It's opened up the whole area. People go by, they know we're there. We can display different things on the glass. We're getting ready to do some wall murals and some floor murals in there, just to display the different things that we can do. So it's opened up our customer base a lot. In February was Implant Awareness Month. We sent out an envelope to all the employees, every single one. We got the variable data with their address and everything. We had enclosed 25% off our banners, something a little catchy, eye-catching for color. We also enclosed a decal that we printed on our new printer with contour cutting and everything, so that they know we can do that also. So it's really opened up the business a lot, and like I said, our good profit this year.